All right, before he goes off, I gotta say it right now. This man
Okay,
forgot in quotes to
listen.
record the audio correctly, so you lost out on me calling his ass out.
Look, it's
So
fine. You're gonna call me out in a minute, but I need to
I
make a
mean,
statement.
you're not wrong, but I
Look,
laughed
you're
really
gonna.
hard when we got to it.
I know. I feel bad because it was such a funny moment, but it's fine. It's fine. Anyways, so as you may have known, the awards season is here, and we've had a couple. We had the Producers Guild of America and the Golden Globes
Hmm.
happen. Not
When did the
Oscars yet.
Oscars?
I
Okay,
don't know.
when did the Oscars?
I remember them being like somewhere mid March, late May. I think that at least that's what I
Okay, because
assume. Anyways.
I gotta know so I know when to not watch and then laugh and complain about the Oscars award show, even though I'm not gonna watch it. Like,
All right, but anyways, that's my point. So we've best anime features. Animation's had a pretty rough spot this year, but we did get some good ones like
The
Puss in
Purge,
Boots,
bro.
Last Wish, Pinocchio, Marcel's Shell, all good films,
Very good one.
all nominated, and I think that Del Toro 100% deserved the award at the not the Oscars, the Golden Globes. He
Mhm.
100% deserves it, and he has spent so much time working on it, and he has definitely proven that animation is more than just a genre like bigger companies are now believing, because this is also Slav's fault. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not where my rant comes in. My rant comes in at just who was nominated. Not with the big three that I talked about that will deserve it. I'm talking about Turning Red. So you want to know why? It's only because throughout all these events, not a single nomination for the Rise of TMNT, and for no fucking reason. It wouldn't have upset me. It wouldn't have upset me as much if it also didn't give a place with the Minions Rise of Gru Producers Guild of America. So I need answers. Is this Disney? Is this fucking whoever's in charge of Netflix just cucking Rise of TMNT?
Dude, it is honestly a crime because that movie has some great animation going.
It's not even
for
just
it.
the animation.
Like,
Everything else is so fucking good.
it's like I don't know. It has to. I think it has to be because like it's Disney, and it's like if you don't get them in
Always
there,
fucking Disney. It's always Disney. They're like they every award event, everyone who's in charge of those award events, like, up, we gotta check Disney off the list. What's this? No, Advisor TMNT? Who was that? Nickelodeon? We don't know them. We don't know them.
unless it's Avatar, they don't really care about.
Yeah, unless it's
Nickelodeon.
Avatar. But that's a rare Nickelodeon W is that they're bringing back the Avatar horror movies. But that's for later. My rant still comes from the Rise of TMNT not being nominated for any awards. And you know what? I'm not gonna be surprised if it's not nominated for the Oscars either, because the Oscars are a piece of shit anyways. So
Well,
I'm not
there
gonna
is
be
that
surprised.
separate category for best animated movie, and then they don't like. That's the one that gets me the most. Is you put them in the separate category, and then you have best picture, and you don't put the animated movies in the running for best picture because they're still a picture. It still qualifies.
I hate it. I hate it, but it doesn't matter because this whole rant is building up to me saying this statement to my like 30 viewers watching this on YouTube, or like my 2 listeners on Spotify, and to all of film Twitter. This is why I'm not watching Turning Red. simply simply out of spite, because there is no excuse that Turning Red is nominated for all of these awards for best animated feature film, but Rise of the TMNT isn't, or even Intergalactic. For some reason, Intergalactic's not on there either. I don't understand why. I don't even like it that much. Like, it's good, but I don't think it's like award winning. But it's not even nominated. It's Turning Red and Minions is, I guess. The fuck?
You know, it baffles me a little bit here, Cabbage, because you won't watch Turning Red, but you watched Velma.
Listen.
You watched it, man.
I know I watched it. I watched it, and I paid for it because now it's the #1 trending show on HBO Max.
Don't hate watching. Come on.
I know. Twitter. This is the one time I should have listened to Twitter. But
that's true, actually.
Look, I know it's bad,
man.
but it's
Like
bad. It's so bad that it's funny.
I like it's some of the most bland stuff. So the one thing I haven't seen anyone talk about, like when I first saw the trailer for this, or at least like the promos, I assumed because they said it was going to be adult animated. I assumed
It's gonna be like
foolish.
Robot Chicken.
No, I assumed that they would be in college and not in high school.
Yeah, that
But apparently they're in high school,
they
which means we're okay to show off 15 or 16-year-old, however old
that
she is, Daphne, just covered in soap and
yeah,
bubbles.
I don't understand it. That is
I
such a weird fucking power move where they just de-age all of the characters and show all these sexual scenes between each other.
I have not seen anyone talking about it.
And like
Like
the
anyone
thing is
upset about it.
the
It's
thing is
like fair, I guess. I for some reason, I guess because the rest of the show is that bad that it like
it's not like it
that's
matters anyways.
yeah, it's like the rest of the show is that bad, but that people are that people don't even notice that we're showing off underage characters like
Yeah,
basically naked. It's like
I don't
what?
understand it. I literally don't understand it. I guess we should do the intro because I forgot about the intro. So,
Yeah.
welcome back to Cabbage Radio Hub. This is pretty much we're coming in hot with this one. I'm your host, Cabbage, and what joining with me today is my very snappy and about to be fired Zero Ho for calling me out. I am
Look,
always
man,
right.
it's worth it. Look, if somebody's got to do it.
No,
and
I am always
comment
right.
section
This is
won't-
my channel. I do what I want.
Look, you brought the banana in. I gotta send you my new profile pic.
Oh yeah, okay.
I changed it to a pimp banana.
But anyways, so yeah, Velma is just so incomprehensibly bad that it's hilarious.
Okay, my rant for this, it blows my mind that not only did Ruby X Justice League survive the WB purge, which I don't know if I got into that
You
rant.
did talk about that
Okay, I
last
did.
one.
I'll hit it again because it's still stupid. And then Velma survived the
Velma-
DC. I keep saying DC, but I'm just pissed off about it. Like it goes to WB. They survived the WB purge.
Yep, they
But
survived it.
Young Justice is still. Why?
We don't.
It makes no sense.
Nothing. Look, this is just the Slav's plan to build his own galactic empire against and where he's just giving a speech to everybody. Is like every single animation studio will be hunted down and defeated.
Oh man!
When the Slav sees an animator, it's just like the attack of my life has reduced me greatly.
Dude, we keep joking about Disney gonna be like the big bads. Of
No,
everything.
it's really just the Slav.
Man.
It's really like Disney is the Count Dooku. That's
True,
what it is. Disney is
yeah.
Count Dooku, and the
Like,
Slav is
they're
Emperor
doing-
Palpatine.
Yeah, they're doing stuff and they're there, but like it's Palpatine in the background. That's
Yeah,
really.
but anyways, back to Velma. So I know you haven't seen it, but
I've seen I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, we're doing meta jokes.
yeah,
All right. And then
That's about it.
nothing
That's
else
about it.
about the trailer. Like I saw Shaggy. No, he's not Shaggy. He's Norville because he doesn't look Shaggy at all.
He just has a
Because
green
the thing-
shirt.
Dude, like Shaggy is not called Shaggy because of any other reason than his appearance. Like he has shaggy hair and he looks like he just rolled out of bed. Okay,
Yeah,
like his name is Norville Rogers, which something I found out like when this show came out. I was like, "Who the hell is this?" I was like, literally, I saw them advertised as Norville. I was like, "What? Who? Huh?" And I was like, "Where's Shaggy?" And then I looked it up and found out his real name is Shaggy, or not Shaggy. It's Norville. I was like, "What the?" All right, but it's that where he doesn't even look Shaggy. This dude has a clean fade. He is like in a regular in a green shirt and pants. He doesn't even have a dog, which I'm sure there's going to be like some build up to it or whatever. Which
there's gonna be
anyway.
a build up to a stupid joke. That's it. That's about it.
Really,
But-
if you really wanted to play into it, you could have gone off the fact that like the meta joke that Shaggy is a pot dealer. And that it's like one of those theories that the mystery crew is really just hotboxing in the van. and Scooby isn't actually a talking dog. They're just high as hell, so they
Yeah.
think Scooby's a talking dog. So if you really wanted to, that might have been an actual funny joke to basically imply that the reason Scooby talks is because the entire mystery gang is high on
No,
the
no,
weed
no.
that
But see,
Shaggy
the
makes. But
joke is that Shaggy hates dogs and he's black. So there, subversion of expectations.
I don't like I was sent that joke actually. Like I don't know who sent it to me, but I watched it and I was like, that was the weirdest delivery of that joke anyway. It's not even like it's just played so straight. It's not even a oh I don't like drugs. Clear. It's like it's not even
Who is
like
sending me jokes of Velma? I don't know who he is. This stuff comes in the mail.
for real. Like I'm gonna find them and figure out who did it.
No, but I know you haven't seen Velma, but I need to understand how bad it is. So I'm
Don't
going to
wanna
recap the first episode, and I
no
need to tell me. I need you to tell me
no
if this makes
don't
any
do it.
sense. I'm gonna be quick
Don't
about it because we have more stuff to cover, but I'm gonna be quick about it. But I'm gonna make it quick and painless. So Velma starts off with giving her monologue about how this is her story told her way, jabbing every intro to every TV show ever, and then it cuts to Daphne in the Bailey centered with shower of other Bailey centered 15-year-old girls in suggested positions,
no.
and then that goes on for like another 2.5 minutes, and then Velma comes in like a fucking maniac with a lead pipe wanting to beat the shit out of Daphne. And then can't make this up. Can't make this up. We're continuing. So, and then the dead body is found in Velma's locker and she's interrogated. And apparently we're just supposed to believe that she's innocent, even though the very first scene that she is ever in is her trying to basically murder Daphne.
I swear, look, I'm innocent of this crime, all right? This is a totally separate crime. I was
But
gonna kill this other girl.
no, but see,
like,
the joke is that the detectives are not only Daphne's like adopted parents, but also that they are bad detectives, so they don't figure out. They don't try to come to that conclusion. Anyways, so the rest of the show is dedicated to the rest of the episode is dedicated to trying to clear Daphne's name, and she goes to Shaggy, or I'm sorry, Norville for answers, and Norville is now a beta simp who does literally everything to try and get with Velma. I'm not
look,
kidding.
if you're gonna make Norville, I'm not calling him Shaggy, a simp, make him a simp for food because that's his thing. That's his thing. They eat food.
Okay, but then like I think like while she's trying to solve the mystery, but then during this trying to clear her name, she keeps having these hallucinations, and because her fear is that she's trying to solve mysteries when her mother left in a 2-minute flashback with Fred, who is just a white privileged man child who can't even feed himself. So
What?
she starts to have flashbacks about her mother and how that's how she got into mysteries. And one day
Wait,
her
is
mother
this hold up? Is this a different mother than her detective parents?
no, the detective parents are Daphne's mothers.
Oh, Daphne's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had me confused for a second.
Don't worry, the show is confusing anyways. So so Velma explains to Fred in like a 2-minute long flashback that her mother's what got into mysteries, and she wanted to keep solving mysteries around her to try and make it fun. And then eventually, her mother was like, "Okay, for your birthday, I'm going to leave you this present, and I'm going to leave, and you can't open it until I get back, okay?" And then all of a sudden,
guess that Velma's mom has not returned.
yes, so she hasn't returned. And she never returned. That was the last time she saw her, and Velma thinks that it's because of her mystery solving that drove her away, because she found a car in the middle of the woods, and along with like something along with her glasses.
I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say that it's probably not because of the mystery. It's probably because Velma isn't a likable character.
No, okay, see that's where it also leads into. It also leads into the fact that later on, her dad tells Velma that she didn't leave because of her mystery solving. She leave because, and I quote, she hated us. That is exactly what his dad told Velma. And then she
I
has like the real flashbacks, the quote unquote real flashbacks of just Velma being this conniving little shit that abuses the shit out of her mother with her attempt at mystery solving. And I
oh
say
my
quote unquote real because at near the end of the episode, she has this whole character arc about how, oh no, she didn't leave because she hated us. She actually left because she is still out there somewhere. She wants me to find her. And then her hallucinations quote unquote stop. Um and
wait. So is Velma like? Is she mentally healthy?
no.
Okay, because like this, you said hallucinations, and oh
Well,
my
actually, the show
god,
will never tell us, anyways. So
oh my god.
other things to point out in the episode is that her plan to prove that she is innocent is that to make herself hot and look pretty in front of all the women, which doesn't go well because they can see right through her shit. But
How does that
then
work?
I don't know. I
What's
don't
the
know.
plan there?
I don't know. But this whole episode was supposed to feel sympathy for Velma because she's innocent, obviously, and she couldn't have killed this random girl that she didn't even like in the first place. But
Okay, I'm gonna say right now though, one of the like, if you want to, because I have seen the opening like narration she has of "This is my story" or whatever. The with you're going with this character, like I get what they're, or at least I get what I hope they're going for, where you take an unlikable character at the beginning and you turn them over time into someone that, it's like an overarching character arc of, oh no, I was the one in the wrong, going forward. The problem with that is usually in these scenarios where you have the "this is my story" narration at the beginning, you don't have the character talking like an entitled and unlikable person going through. You usually like you juxtapose that where it's like, oh yeah, this is my story. This is what happened, and they sound more sincere or whatever. And then it cuts to the beginning where they're unlikable
yep,
going forward.
yeah,
So you get to already get that sense of, oh, they're going to have a change.
yeah, they don't.
Maybe it's just because
Velma.
Mindy
Okay,
Kaling
this
is
is where
not
episode
a
two comes
voice
in.
actress.
This is where episode two comes
There's
in. I'm
two
not gonna recap.
episodes?
I'm not
Wait,
gonna
hold up.
recap it because it's confusing as hell. But
I thought there was just one.
no, it does
Is,
two episodes. But I'm not gonna recap that one because it's even more confusing and explaining it will take even longer. But just know that
please.
she's not likable at all, and they attempt to have a character arc by trying to her not be judgmental. But the way she proves her innocence and tries to pin the blame on Fred is by being exactly judgmental and proving that he's a man child who can't
Oh,
even cut a steak.
yeah, wasn't that the cutting the steak? I saw that one on
So
Twitter.
yeah,
I was
no, there
watching
was
that.
no
Like, what the
character arc
hell?
at all. But and then the weirdest, the strangest, most confusing thing in this first episode happened where Fred, the running gag was that he had a disease where he can't recognize people if they're not hot. So what happens is that
Feel like, so the thing is that goes against the one in the movies, in the live action movies, where Fred goes, "Dorky chicks like you turn me on too." I'm like, yeah, go Fred.
But anyways, so like during like all the bullying that's being put on Velma, where we're supposed to feel sympathetic, even though we're all not. One kid throws like a tray at her. Fred comes in ninja style, fucking blocks it with like a cane or something, and chops the kid's leg off entirely. And then we just ignore it, and then the episode just ignores it as if nothing happened. As Fred is trying to give a speech about how we need to be more sympathetic towards this girl, even though she's weird.
All right.
So, do you
What?
understand the first episode at all?
I don't understand anything,
I
man.
watched I watched that episode entirely and I didn't understand it. I just
How?
watched it like
Well,
yesterday.
clearly it's because you just weren't paying attention,
Oh
Cabbage.
yeah,
Like, come
so
on, it
so
shows that dude, I can't wait for when like we hit that point in Twitter where the defenders come out.
oh dear God, no
For
no
this
no
because
no
I
no
feel,
no
dude,
no.
I feel like that's gonna be like you think Spider-Man Twitter is bad or like superhero stuff is bad or like the Snyder cultists are bad. I feel like this is gonna be worse, man.
This might be worse, but
Because
it
this is the first thing I've seen in a while where like everyone is like, bro, this is bad.
yeah, like
And I like
nobody is at argue here. This is universally just garbage.
the one thing I've seen is like some dude, I think some dude posted it was like, where did all of these Scooby Doo stands come from all of a sudden with Velma? Y'all did not care about this show before this show came out. It's like, bro, the reason why people aren't up in rage before was because it was always good. Like everyone loved it. Like there was no reason to really hate Scooby Doo before this.
Oh yeah, also Norville tries to sell his organs for Velma. Anyways, so Velma's bad, obviously, and but you know we do have a little bit of positivity. We've been going on for like 21 minutes about absolute bullshit going on, but we do have a little bit of positivity. Phineas and Ferb is back with 2 whole seasons.
I'm gonna
It's
enjoy
great.
that.
I'm a
I
happy boy. You know,
I
well
hope
happy.
my only hope is that they keep it because the strengths of Phineas and Ferb is the episodic part of it. It's literally like what crazy thing can the boys make during summer? That
Yeah,
would be fun for
yeah,
an
and
episode.
that's great.
And it's
That's
like
great.
there's nothing more complicated for that. Anytime they wanted to do anything more like that, they would save it for their movies, which makes sense.
Yeah, I
And so
love it. I'm glad this show is back because I still got choked up at the end where Phineas waves at us. I hate it. I'm sad, but I'm happy again.
which
Um,
I think that could be fun actually if they do it as like adults. It's like, hey, this is how do you want to celebrate graduating before we go off to
yeah,
like do
that
our
would be a nice way to put it. I personally wouldn't mind either way if they were adults or still kids because it's still Phineas and Ferb. You know, it's still gonna be good nonetheless.
and it could like you could still have that fun of like of Candace still trying to call out her brothers for doing stuff as adults. It's like, oh well, now you're supposed to be adults, you should be acting like you should be acting more like adults kind of deal, which could be fun. And you could even have her joining in on the fun too as an adult. Like there's a lot of ways you can go where it's just be a fun show.
Right,
Like
right.
it doesn't need to be anything crazy. It just needs to be fun.
Exactly. And in other news, there is also like all the Avatar stuff going on where we not only get like a couple new movies and we're also getting a new TV show, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like we
I
need
hope.
this. I think it was like more like towards the Earth Kingdom or something.
Yeah, so it's going to be following the Earthbender after the Earth Avatar after Korra, which what I'm
Yes,
hoping
I love
for,
Earthbending.
honestly,
I love it.
I hope they hired the Legend of Genji team because there's a fan group or a fan team making a comic on the Earthbending Avatar after Korra called The Legend of Genji, and he's a sandbender instead. And it's a very interesting premise where like the Earth Kingdom has basically a fake avatar. So they have a guy that they are like, oh, see, this is the avatar. See, like this is our avatar, and he's about to become, like this is where his powers are going to, or like this is where his powers are going to start, or when he's going to start his training. And they're like publicly putting up this other guy, but in reality, they haven't found the actual avatar.
There is no
And
Avatar in Bossing say.
dude, oh my god. But yeah, and like Genji is just chilling on like the outskirts of town watching pro bending on TV and just like doing his own sandbender stuff. And so it's a very interesting premise for the comic, and I hope that they bring that team on because they were doing really good stuff.
Yeah, that does sound
And
cool.
like I can't wait for more Avatar stuff. There's
I'm Yeah, it's
supposed to be a
a
movie.
Zuko movie too, which is
There's
really
yeah, so we
cool.
got
Granted, it's like 3 years from now, but it's coming
well, and it's
anyways.
adults. an adult team Avatar.
Oh yeah, I forgot
So
about
with
that.
Aang, so my thing for that is Dante Bosco is the only one returning, at least as far as we
Yeah,
know.
I don't know
I'm
what the deal with that is. It's only Dante Bosco.
like maybe they just haven't like Jack. I know Jack Desana is still busy with the Dragon Prince, so and like he's probably gonna be able to get in. Dante Bosco is just like the most recognizable voice, I guess, and like
Obviously.
they didn't have the original voice actors for everyone come back in Korra as older version, like even in the flashbacks to older Toph and older Aang with in season 1, they didn't have the same voice actors.
Well, why? Because they were
So
older. Like,
yeah,
are
so like
you talking about like the child actor from like the first one?
well the thing is all of those actors are now older. They're now adults.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like why not bring them back in? And they're all still voice like at least most of them are still voice acting. I
Yeah,
know.
I mean, Tara Strong is obviously still voice acting because Tara Strong is just best at everything she does.
Well, yeah, but like I mean, like Jack Desana is still doing stuff. Him and Dante Bosco are the oldest at the time for that show, for Avatar. So like they're still doing their stuff. I believe Toph, the voice actress for Toph, is also doing things. I haven't heard anything about the voice actor for Aang like at all since Avatar, so maybe
Right.
he's not doing much.
I'm hoping this isn't a young Sung Luke's Anakin Skywalker situation.
A little bit, yeah. Like I don't think he got the same hate, but it's probably like a child like it's a child actor
Yeah,
thing, which is unfortunate.
yeah. The weird thing is like this is all like just now happening. Like I feel like we should have already gotten things like this so much sooner. You know,
Yeah, it's weird.
like when did Core end? Like what was it? Like 3 years ago?
Oh, dude, it was way long.
Was it really?
What
What was it? Like
you mean, 3
2018?
years ago, dude. It was like yeah, it's like back in 2014 or something. I think.
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah,
Man,
here, here, here.
I honestly did not. I don't really know how long ago that show was because I barely started getting to it and like back in like I think it was like 2 years ago. I actually watched it.
It was 2012 to where is it? Come on, internet. 2012 to 2014.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's even weirder. Like we haven't had Avatar content in like 7 years, and that's weird because like when you really
It's
think of how
because of the
relevant
movie.
Avatar is, you think we would have gotten some things like this like sooner.
What you mean? We did get an Avatar movie. It just came out this year.
Okay, well, that's a different avatar. Different avatar.
That's just yeah, it's cinema. All right.
But yeah, it's like with how relevant Avatar has been ever since Core, it it feels like there would have been such like a lot more demand and a lot more incentive to make more Avatar content than just like barely springing up now. You know?
I think it was also. I think it's partly because Nickelodeon wasn't willing to play ball.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
also an
I
answer.
think there was like legal stuff too.
I would assume so, but yeah, Avatar looks so. I'm happy that we're getting more Avatar. You know, we get to have a more new Avatar for a brand new generation for people who and for newer people to Avatar, and this is
The
around the
next
time where you can have
generation.
yeah, exactly the next generation of avatars.
And I can't wait to see like what the world of Avatar looks like more
Yeah,
in the
but
future as
because
well.
the world building for Korra was so fucking well done. It was so well thought out for the world building for Korra, like post
Love Republic
Fire
City.
War.
Yeah, like I love Republic City and like the 20s, the 1920s style aesthetic to it with the different architecture from each of the nations in there and like the way they utilize the bending into the city with like lightning benders at the power plants getting things going like that was such a cool little detail and then having a sport built around bending and like the
Right.
three nations working together because there's not enough air, there was no airbenders. I would love to actually see if they've made a few changes because who knows, there might be more airbenders in the next series because
Yeah, because of
it's and what
yeah, because of like the whole thing that happened in season 2. Even though it's bad, you still need to watch it, which sucks. But
like Honestly, I kind of skipped season 2 aside from Avatar 1 because his episodes are really
Look,
good.
season 2 is bad, but you technically still need to watch it because it does bring the resurgence of Airbenders back.
You can kind of get that from the recap that starts in
I
season
guess you
3.
can watch the recap, but even the recap's bad.
I'm
Uh,
just saying, like you can just watch it. You don't have to watch season 2. We don't need it. Just
but yeah,
the Avatar 1 episodes and then
so
go to season
I'm
3.
actually trying to think about what new world this new Avatar series could be in because we know that like Korra is more like a steampunk vibe where you have a little bit
Yeah,
more technology and it's more
1920.
related to spirits and such. So I'm actually maybe it'll be like more sci-fi as the years
What
go
I
on.
actually I could see them leaning hardcore into like the 60s and hippies aesthetic because that would make sense
Yeah,
with the spirits all around and like with the whole hippie movement. It was a lot more be attuned with nature
yeah, that could
emphasis.
be
So
cool,
like
but
that, yeah, I think that could work pretty well. And it would be really funny to see more Avatar hippies. Because
we
like I
love
mean,
our
dude,
Avatar hippies. We love the
the
Swamp
secret
Benders.
tunnel, the
We
secret
stand the
tunnel.
Swamp Benders.
Those are more like bayou people, like deep south. Let's be real. Like, that's like deep south living
Yeah,
in the bayou.
that's fair, I guess. Um,
Like think the secret tunnel people, like for real.
oh yeah,
That's
I
the
definitely
Avatar
do.
hippies.
It's definitely
More
a
of
secret
that.
tunnel where the hippies like emerged.
Give me
But
more T. Bradley
uh,
Baker stoned.
yeah, but Avatar, I'm really excited about. There's so many good things coming out in animation. I'm happy because, God, I'm still recovering from last year. A
Yeah,
lot of shit happened. A lot of things
they had
happened. But see, when it comes to things that are coming out, there's always that bit of controversy and Twitter being an absolute cesspool of hate and stupidity. Which is, I mean, besides the Flash, I want to bring
talk.
something up similar to the Flash because
Oh
we're
boy.
basically in the same boat with how people perceive with actually consuming this media, and I think you know what I'm talking about. I am feeling suicidal today.
Oh no. Oh boy.
After the Rise of TMNT not being nominated and Velma, I feel like I am just prepared to get shot in the head by Twitter. So I want to talk about
Oh.
Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay. All right.
So
All right. Yeah.
you're more informed about everything that's going on. So why don't you start?
So, okay, Hogwarts Legacy is a really weird case of it's honestly it's very simple and people are I think are blowing it way out of proportion. Where we all know J.K. Rowling sucks. All
Yeah,
right? And
obviously.
no one in their right mind is denying that part. Everyone knows she sucks. All right? The
Right.
only the only really good thing she's done is reveal that wizards before Muggle plumbing was introduced to Hogwarts, they just used to shit and piss themselves wherever they stood and then vanish the evidence away. All right, that's like the best contribution she's done since writing the books, and it's really weird seeing that flow down into the game that's coming out. So for anyone who doesn't know what Hogwarts Legacy is, it is a game made by Avalanche Studios and published by Portkey Games that takes place in the late 1800s of the Harry Potter, well, it's just the late 1800s at Hogwarts. And it has separated itself largely from a lot of the settings JK had a hand in making. Like the game itself has done massive strides to like distance themselves from anything she's created, which unfortunate for that part because she still made something that a lot of people can find a lot of meaning in and really enjoy and get immersed in because like first off if you read these books like as a kid or as now and you really like them, there is absolutely zero shame in loving them. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. just because J.K. Rowling is J.K. Rowling and
Yeah,
not a good
yeah,
person. Like there's still value to be brought from there. She gave something to the world that at least you can say this was a good thing she did. And if you don't want to give her money for whatever reasons you have, you don't want to give her money and pay for whatever product she has, that is fine. The thing that comes up more recently that grinds my gears about this is as it pertains to the game, where people are calling, we haven't hit a boycott just yet, but we're very close
yeah.
to
We're
it.
pretty much on the verge of it.
Yeah, like it is, the line is so thin. It's like the meme of from American Dad where he's staring at the scale, and
Yes,
it's
yes. The
like it's very
scale.
close. And the things I've been seeing is don't buy the game directly, because you don't like, don't give your money to JK. Which, side note on this, regardless, JK is going to get some money from it. Whatever you do, they're like, she is richer than the royal family in England.
Yeah,
Not
pretty
buying
much.
the game isn't really going to affect her as much as being completely indifferent to her on any sort of platforms. Like being indifferent, calling out and saying don't give her your money is still giving her attention. So like be as indifferent as possible
Yeah.
about it. Like that is how you really make it there, because that is how you can forget, like everyone can forget about her and what her views are.
Right. And it's
The
like
more,
it's
go
a
ahead.
hard thing to differentiate like what you enjoy personally versus like the creators behind it because
Yeah.
like
Like
for example, I know that John Lasseter is a piece of shit. We all know
mhm.
this from his workings in Pixar. I still watch a lot of his movies because I really like what movies he made. Even though I don't like him as a person, I still want to enjoy those movies for what they are because the the creative decisions of a piece of media is more than just a singular person. There's dozens upon dozens of people working on these pieces of media, and I I think that it's a little unfair. If you don't want to buy the game, that's fine. But I think it's a little unfair to discourage other people from buying the game, even if they enjoy it, simply because this one creator, the creator of the world behind this game is bad, even though you still personally enjoy that world that was built. And I feel like nobody should be discouraging these people from just playing what they like. If they like a game, let them like the game and want to play it, you know?
it's also, just because you buy the game doesn't mean you support
Exactly.
anything she has said. It does not mean that you believe in the same things she does or that you hold the same values that she does. It just means that you saw the game, you like Harry Potter, you like how it looks, and you wanted to try it out and play it. And that
Right.
is fine. If
Right.
if you pay for it, yes, she will get some money from it. She is the IP holder. There's no way to get around that. And if you
Yeah.
don't want to give her that money, that is a-okay. I draw the line on where I draw the line at this, because I have a bit of a different perspective on it, is calling for other people to not buy it purely because the devs already got paid. So you're not hurting the developers,
Yeah,
because
that's a very weird argument.
it is largely based, I would say, on just people not really understanding how devs get paid in the industry. And it's a case of, there's two ways generally that developers get paid, depending on who you are. Like if you're an indie game, you don't really have to worry about this. You have your own other worries of, okay, we got to make sure our game actually like sells. We got to do everything for marketing to make sure that this game gets out to as many people as possible, because we don't have a publisher to rely on for funding. And so that's where it comes into this. The publisher pays, there's either two ways to get paid. work for hire, where the publisher pays the developer a negotiated fee for developing the game, and then they part ways. The dev gets no money from sales or other revenues and has no other rights to the game, including its characters. And so that is a case where you could say, okay, don't buy the game, but or because the developers already get paid, but hold off on that sentiment until we get to the end. And then there's two where it's a publishing license agreement, where the publisher pays the developer an advance against the royalties for the developing the game, and that basically means that the publishers pay the developers costs for making the game, but not all at once. The publisher pays the money out in increments when the dev reaches pre-negotiated deliverables or milestones. Then the game is sold at retail. The developer gets a royalty or a percentage of the sales, but not until all of the advances have been earned out. So, as an example, let's say the publisher advanced the developer $5 million for developing a game. That developer wouldn't get any royalties or percentage of the cut until the game has sold enough that the developer's percentage of the sales would have been $5 million. So, in a publishing licensing agreement, the dev may also be granted certain rights, such as the first right of refusal for making a sequel or a percentage of the character merchandising rights, but they still have to hit those milestones before they get an extra cent. And what that comes down to it for both of these agreements, the unfortunate reality is that it's a risk regardless for the developer. Whether they take on this product, they can still get shut down off of one game not making enough money.
Right.
And so I just say, keep all of this in mind when it comes to calling for a boycott of the game or saying that the developers already got paid for their work, so it's okay to not buy the game directly, because we don't know what kind of agreement Avalanche Software has gotten into. We don't know. They can still get shut down regardless, and the game industry is extremely competitive and hard to get a job in. And so, is it really worth denying J.K. Rowling like $3 or whatever from your purchase of the game? Is it really worth denying her that money in exchange for potentially a bunch of people getting knocked out of their jobs? It's not a guarantee, so it's still up to you. It's just be a little bit more careful about that, because the developers have nothing to do with anything JK has done.
Oh yeah.
There may be, I know there was a controversy around one of the lead developers who he stepped down from the game. He stepped down from the game already amidst the controversy and put out a video explaining why he left and what the reasons were. So go check out that video as well to hear it firsthand from him as well, and not just from another site. And they don't hold the same the values that get put into a game. Like the values a person holds doesn't get put into a game because they're making mechanics.
Right.
They are putting the game up there in a way for you to play. And it also that comes to the writing side of it, where you may see more of that if the writer has an agenda going forward. And the hope is that the writer will be smart enough to prioritize what makes sense within the world that they're working in and the story being told, rather than their own personal agenda that they have going through. And so you don't really know what it happens or what is going to be the case until you get in to see it. And we've seen the game, we've seen pieces of the game, we've seen it come out, we've seen WB themselves take a stance on this in general by basically removing JK from anything to do with the game. The only thing that she has had to do is, because she's the IP holder, they literally had to get her approval for the game.
Yeah.
Of okay, yeah, you can make this. And that can vary from depending on how involved the IP holder is in it. Like you can either have a case where they just come in, saw the pitch for the game, and like, hey, this is the game we want to make. This is everything that we're going for. This is the ideas, and they could have gone, okay, cool, walked away. Or it could have been a George Lucas scenario with Star Wars 1313, where he had a bit more of an active role in the production, and that ended up affecting it overall. So it really is dependent on the person, and as far as we're aware of, she just came in, said, okay, you can make the game, and then
Yeah,
WB
like
had
that. It doesn't really. It doesn't really feel like there's much involvement from like J.K. Rowling herself.
no. And it's very like it's just it blows my mind that people will put that much on the devs who just want to make a good game. Like they don't care at all what J.K. Rowling has to say. They were given an IP to make a game for, and they want to make the best product that they can.
Yeah, and it's like
And
if you really want to like compare it a little easier, if you want to make this like a little easier for understand, look at the Flash. Ezra Miller is a criminal. Nobody's denying that.
yeah,
The writers for the movies have to deal with a PR disaster that they are causing by being a criminal.
well,
But
yeah.
that does
The
not
other thing
mean
too,
that does not mean that they are involved with anything Ezra Miller does, and they just want to make a good movie that can
yeah.
perhaps cover for whatever disaster Ezra Miller is causing in Hawaii.
Well, and the other thing about that too is I don't see anyone saying, "Oh, well, you don't have to go see the movie because the crew already got paid for it."
Yeah, that's a weird. Yeah, like all that's also weird. Like why is like the
Why does the
Flash?
game?
Why do movies get passes but games don't?
Yeah, like why do the game devs got to get punished for this? They like
Is it just because it's a video game? Like, do they think that video game companies don't work in the same film companies? Like, I don't.
well, I mean,
Well, they don't, but they don't.
to
But
differ,
I mean, do they think like how film companies get paid is different? Is like
it's well because you did the work, so you already got
yeah,
paid for
like
it.
what?
You don't
I
need
don't
to get
understand
paid
that. What?
more. Yeah, I don't get it.
It's such a
It's
weird argument, you know?
it's a weird double standard
Yeah,
because
basically.
there's certain way like you look at movies and you look at games, you don't judge them on the same criteria because they're different mediums.
Right.
Why why is that like why is that the case or not the case when it comes to games or how they get paid and like the other part of it? Like it's okay to call for a boycott of a game because the devs already got paid, but it's not okay to call for a boycott of a movie because you want to see the work you want to see the work that the crew did and you want to support them. So
But
it's
you don't want to see the work that the crew did and the crew did for the game.
yeah, like what? Like
God, look.
these guys were handed an IP and they're like, cool, this IP has a lot of stuff that we could do. That we could do really cool game mechanics with and like tell a pretty interesting story with that goes along with the mechanics. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
It's and like the one guy that had controversy around him for some of his personal views left the company and left willing like he separated himself from it. WB also like it was brought to the attention. They went about it and they dealt with it and that guy is no longer with them. And like props to him honestly for saying I hope the game turns out well and that it goes good. And
yeah, Twitter is just completely filled with nothing but double standards. Like everywhere you go, there will always be a double standard for something. Like no matter what. It's so weird.
there was
Okay.
one tweet I saw from my boy Mighty Keith. Everybody go check him out because he's great. Where there's been a couple like people are posting stuff to try and I guess defame the game before you go, which is weird in general because if you put that stuff on there, you're just generating controversy for the game. And again, if you don't want people to go play it or go look at the game, be indifferent towards it. Like, don't give it any publicity. The more you talk
Right.
about the more it's going to be out there. And like, so one of the things he said was, this Harry Potter Legacy discourse is so incredibly stupid. If you like Harry Potter, get the game. If you don't want to, don't get the game. But also don't try and stand on some imaginative moral high ground scoffing at people who enjoy that franchise. It's weird. And I'm like, he's kind of right.
Yeah, he does have a point. He does have a point.
Like, there's people who have watched Harry Potter and who have read the books, and they don't know a single thing about J.K. Rowling.
Maybe they just want to consume the media without getting into the politics behind any of this.
They just read the story and were like, "Hey, Harry Potter's pretty cool. I like this place. This is a cool idea. I like this world." J.K. who? What? No, I'm liking Harry Potter. I don't know who that is. I don't care.
Basically,
it's like, the other things I saw, like the tag, someone started putting fake tags on the game on Steam of it's transphobic and transphobia in there.
Oh my god!
And it's like, that's not going to do anything, because part of what you've done here is you've put a bunch of tags on there. Gamers are going to look at things, like they look at these tags of stuff and they go, "Man, people really hate this game, and what's going on here? I'm gonna go check this out and play it." Because we don't
basically
like, you look at the game. 90% of gamers, when they look at a video game, there are the outliers on both ends of the spectrum of people who really care about this stuff and the politics in games, either side of the aisle they come from. They are the minority in games. 90% of people who play games look at the game and go, "Hey, this thing looks cool. I kind of want to play this."
Exactly.
Let's just play the game.
Like,
I don't
okay,
care about
and like
anything.
this is coming from someone who knows about J.K. Rowling, but I haven't really been a fan of Harry Potter. I looked at the trailer for Hogwarts Legacy. The game looked really fucking cool, and I kind of want to play it sometime in the future.
Dude,
what
I already
now? What now? Twitter, huh? I don't even like Harry Potter. I'm getting the game. What now?
Yo, that's based, man. Get the game because you want to play it. That's
exactly. That's like basically the whole message. Just get the game if you want to play it, and if people are trying to basically force you to not get the game because of political reasons, say that, fuck you. This game looks great. I want to play it, and that's it. That's all you gotta do, you know.
And just think for yourself is really all it is. If people are bringing these issues up and you want to look more into it, absolutely look more into J.K. Rowling. And if that changes your stance on the game, that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Don't try and tell people what to do or what to think. Or don't shame people that just want to get the game. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's really it. Like, don't go around adding fake tags and everything. And it comes back around to it. If you don't want this game to actually sell or do good and to stick it to JK, don't talk about it. Like, indifference kills things way more than hate, because if you are hating on something, you are still giving it attention. Like, back to what we were saying about Velma earlier. Don't hate watch. Hate watching does nothing. It makes the thing more popular. Like that, it just makes whatever it is more popular and more likely to get it there. And like, talking about reviews being turned off for the game isn't out yet, so of course there's no reviews. The reviews are turned off. Like, it's not out. There would be nothing to talk about. No one has played the game yet, and like any of these fake tags too are going to get removed because they're not going to leave that stuff on the game. It's fake. It's not what the game actually stands for, or what is actually, or represents what the game actually is. The Hogwarts Legacy discourse it's just really dumb.
Yeah, it is. But
buy the game if you want to play it.
Exactly.
Don't buy it if you don't want to play it. Don't tell others what to think. Let them come up with their own decisions.
Pretty much that simple, yeah. But we've been talking a lot of controversial stuff over however long this podcast's been going on, but I guess we could talk about something more objectively positive that everybody loves. So I'll ask you just one question, Joe.
What?
Who is your favorite fearless hero?
Oh,
it's
dude.
Motherfucking Puss in Boots, baby!
Dude,
we finally got to it. It took a while, but we finally got to it.
Dude, let me ask you something though.
What?
Do you love the smell of fear?
Oh, I just
Like,
love the smell of fear. I love
oh
it.
God, dude, he's so good.
Oh, dude. Okay, so I watched this again yesterday. It
I also
got better.
I saw it last weekend too. It's
It
so
got
like
like the second time I watched it, it's even better. I don't even understand. Like DreamWorks, why are you being better than Disney right now?
dude, keep it going. Like,
Like
let's
I'm not
go.
complaining, but holy fuck, Puss in Boots is so good.
It slapped.
I need this movie to do good. I think it did eventually do well, but
Oh, it
oh
made its
my
money back.
god. It made
Like it,
like I'm glad it
oh,
made a lot of money because I need more movies like this from DreamWorks,
it was
specifically Shrek movies.
it was so good. Like the story going through for it was insane. Like it was so good.
Dude, oh
I
my
love
god.
the journey that they take Puss on going forward. Uh and dude has one of my favorite antagonists like in a movie. I'm not calling him the villain because he's not really the villain. That
He
belongs to another
he's
character.
kind of like the personal villain for Puss though.
Well, that's why I
Yeah,
say
antagonist,
antagonist
yeah.
because his drive directly conflicts with with Puss's drive and
Yeah,
his goals. And,
exactly.
like that's pretty much what an antagonist does in any kind of story is just their wants and goals conflict with the protagonist. And god damn, was it so good.
Oh yeah, and the journey is yeah, and like you said, the journey is so well thought out. It's simple, but I will always say this until the day I die. Simple endings do not matter to me as long as the journey is so well thought out with such great characters, and that's exactly what Puss in Boots did.
Like god, I want to bring in more censoring in movies, like not censoring in, you know, visuals, but literally bleeping out swear words.
Yes, I will always love it. Super
It's
Pets.
so
If
funny.
Super
They
Pets
did
did
it.
it, so can Puss
Yeah,
in Boots.
like the first time it happened in Super Pets caught me off guard, and but I was still laughing.
Oh
And they
my
did it again,
god.
and it never
Yeah,
missed. And
I love it. It's so
they did
funny.
it.
This movie's so funny too.
Oh,
there's a lot of wisecracking jokes, but there's just some like genuine humor coming from this movie, and it's great.
so much fun, man. God, dude, John Mulaney is 2 for 2 on voice acting
Oh yeah,
roles right now.
I like John Mulaney is one of those voice actors where I can always pinpoint when I see
Yeah,
or hear him. Like, and I the second I
and
hear
it
him,
works.
the second I hear him, I immediately think this movie is gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, because there's two like different ways for it. Because there's like some voice actors are so good that like you can't even hear their voice, like you can't even recognize them. Like they just did that good of a job that
Right,
the character is the character.
right,
And there's other voice actors where you recognize that their voices who their voice is, but it still doesn't break you out of it where you're like, oh no, that's still the character.
exactly.
Like
Because it still
that's
fits like
Big
the
Jack
role
Horner.
they're playing.
Yeah. It's like that's Big Jack Horner, even though he's voiced by that I recognize he's voiced by John Mulaney.
Yeah,
That's still Big Jack Horner. And like
exactly,
the same thing with like Spider Ham and Noir in Spiderverse, where it's like that's also John Mulaney and that's also Nicolas Cage, but they're Spider-Man Noir and Spider Ham. Like
exactly. It's dude like, and this is this is one of those rare occasions where I actually pay attention to just how fucking amazing the voice cast is. Like,
oh god, dude, I did not recognize Florence Pugh. I did not know it was her until the credits rolled, and I was like,
yeah,
"What?"
see, it's great, man. Like they did such great casting with these characters. Like always tell when a voice actor like just loves the role they're playing, and that applies to both Jack Horner and the Wolf because they are such
Oh god, dude.
they go
Oh,
hard with the voice acting.
the voice of Wolf is just oh.
It, the thing about like Wolf's voice is that it's both like very gritty but also kind of soothing in a very menacing way, and it makes everything so much more tense every time you hear his voice.
It's just, oh man, I love like the pick it up.
Pick it up. Oh
Like,
my god, dude.
woo!
Everything about like he is obviously the best part about this movie is that he
10 out of
creates
10 design, 10
exactly.
out of 10 voice acting, 10 out of 10 action, and
Oh
this equates to a grand total score of 1,600,865 out of 10.
God, I
Like,
like he is by far like my third favorite animated villain of all time, in like tied with Tai Lung and Scar. That is how good he is. It's like I
oh
want to
man,
save a lot of this. I want to save a lot of my thoughts for my unnecessarily long video on Puss in Boots because that's still happening.
unnecessarily long,
Unnecessarily
bro.
long. I'm covering like pretty much everything about this movie because it needs to be said. Not that I need
I
to
mean,
watch hours, but
it's
anyways,
necessary, bro. You gotta do it. Like, come on.
but like the Wolf is so perfect for Puss's villain because it creates a lot of this tension between Puss actually coming to the grips with his mortality and his idea of what this legend actually means to him versus like what his actual life is supposed to mean. And seeing this physical representation of death is so fucking haunting because the best part about him is that it's not that whether or not he can and can't win, it's whether or not Puss like fights or not or fights or flees because
Like, it's no question that he will win.
exactly.
It is the question of when
I
he
know
will win, and like,
it's so character driven with his motives. And it's great because he even tells Puss, you know what, I can just kill you when you actually run out of lives, whatever. But I'm sick of your shit, so I'm just
yeah,
gonna speed up the process. Like,
it's an
oh
extra
my
little thing of like
god.
cats. Like, you take a simple thing of, oh yeah, cats have 9 lives, something people don't really think much about. It's like, oh yeah, they have 9 lives, yeah. And then you put that in there, you have Death hate cats because of 9 lives. Well, actually, it's not that he hates cats. He's not a big cat person. He hates Puss specifically because
Right.
Puss didn't value those lives.
Exactly.
And he played with them recklessly. And that is the interesting part of it. It's like, I'm coming after you because you haven't valued these 9 lives that you were given.
Exactly. And
Like,
that's so telling by the end where he does where when Puss looks him in the eyes and pretty much says, I'm gonna fight you no matter what. He just like he like Death just basically curses and screams like, you know what, fuck you, you're no fun anymore. I'm leaving.
well, yeah, I came here for an arrogant little cat that didn't value his lives, but I don't see him anymore. It's
Exactly.
like,
And like this is the point where this is like the part where the animation really does come into play a lot of the times because they abuse the absolute shit out of this medium. It's
oh,
so telling by
it's
not
beautiful.
only just the mannerisms of these characters' movements and expressions, but also specifically with Puss because as I saw the movie, when he fights, you know, he's doing all these cool tricks and you know, he's playing around, he's laughing and giggling the whole time.
You
And
get fun uses of physics and whatnot, where
exactly.
you get to break what is actually possible in the real world because it's an animated movie, and we get
Exactly.
to
You
have
could do
fun.
what you want.
We
But
get to have
and,
fun, all right?
and when he first fights with Death, he's basically doing the same thing. He plays it off as a joke. And that is smacks him back right in his face when he looks like a goddamn amateur this entire fight. Because like making him look
Just the
stupid.
the line, just, you're not living up to the legend.
Oh
And he
god.
just smacks him around like, whoa.
Yes, I love it. And then, but like when, you know, later on, as he learns and grows as a character, when he fights Death again, he's not like that anymore. Well, okay, but before I talk about that, I need to talk about how just his demeanor changes entirely. He's not like every time he goes into a fight, he's always dodging and evading, and he looks terrified because he
Mhm.
knows that either death is coming after him or every fight he gets in could kill him permanently, and his demeanor changes entirely. And I love that through just expressing his fear.
Yeah, it's something that is way more powerful than just saying it, because when he gets down to it, like he talks about it at the end of the movie. He doesn't talk
Right.
much about his anxiety. He only talks about it very sparingly, and that's what makes those moments way better, because you get the mix of showing Puss's actions and then having him explain them to us later.
Right. And
And it's not done as a, oh, this is why I ran away back there. It's it's done as a, no, I am going to fight for this life now. I was scared before, but like it's not even a I was scared before. It's just I'm fighting for this life now, and you could tell
right.
right there. Yeah, he was running because he was scared.
Yeah, and it's like in the final fight when he's actually fighting death, you can tell he's changed because he's actually getting into more proper stances. You can even see like during the fight, he's actually taking a more fencing position as he
Hmm.
fights death, and it's very small details like that that can just enhance a character's growth entirely, especially when like at the end where so like the whole start of the movie is talking about how Puss laughs at the face of death. He isn't afraid to die, and I'm not gonna lie. I predicted that by the end of the movie, where Puss grows as a character, he would laugh at death, but he fucking doesn't. He just stares
Hmm.
at the face of death as us. Yeah, I'm fighting for this, and that's so fucking cool. You know,
Hmm.
it really it's a very great way of also showing a character's growth through the animation by just showing how this is a completely different person, because the whole movie was talking about how Puss laughs at the face of death, but he's not laughing here, even though he's not afraid anymore. It shows that it's a completely different person, and I love it.
Oh man, dude. All right, we got to say this right now though. Um, I was never more scared than when I saw Baby get blasted back in the finale. I was like, "Mama Bear, no!" Like,
Yeah,
the
dude, like
Baby, bro.
dude, these
Oh,
characters are so good, and I honestly expected like some of them to be useless, but they all had purpose and a lot of really good character moments in the movie. Like every one of them, they don't feel bloated or they don't feel like they're there to pad out the runtime. They're all like purposefully added here and there to not
even
only.
Jiminy Cricket, man, who like,
Dude, Jiminy Cricket's so funny. Like, I don't even
it's
care if like he's randomly in there. He's fucking amazing.
a joke, and then he comes back and actually has like a he has a role to play, and it works. It
Yes,
works
it's
so
so
well.
great.
It's one of those things of like I could see people going like, where did he get the phoenix, to go to come up and burn the thing later? It's like that doesn't really matter because the payoff is done
Yeah,
so
the
well where
payoff is so good. This
like
is a constant. This is basically Big Jack Horner's constant saying "fuck you."
I, God, I love it so much.
But yeah,
I
no,
love
like
one of my favorite gifts that I've been seeing come around was Baby going, "I'm gonna take your clothes and I'm gonna wear them," and Big Jack just goes, "That was weird," and then blasts
that's such
Baby.
a great joke. I love it. God,
It's so well done. But like going back to the Bears, like I wasn't expecting. I was sus of Goldilocks. Like in the beginning, I was like, she's something's not right with her. Like something's a bit off. And like you get that reveal too of like she wants her family back because she was an orphan.
right.
She wants her family back, and she didn't realize she already had one. Like by the way, Perito, got
Oh my
love
God,
Perito.
Perito.
I
Yes.
love him so much. And like he was the one character that I was like, yeah, they're not gonna do anything. Like he's safe, but it was the right kind. It was the kind of safe where I was like, it doesn't break me out of it. I don't need to feel stakes for this character because and like where it comes to it, because that's not really his role. His
Right.
his role is to support. is to support others
Right.
and help, and he does that role. He plays that role perfectly, and it goes further into the Bears, which like top tier family right
Oh
there.
my god, I love it. And like the coolest thing about it is that like she hardly even realized that her family was right in front of her because of her fixation on the Wisp. And but the coolest thing is that they add little moments with them where they're playing around and joking and they're arguing with one another as any family would, but she's not focused on that because he's too focused on the Wisp until she realized by the end, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? And then that's where the line, you're the smash, I'm the grab comes back, and
Mhm.
it's a great way
Uh,
to repeat the words that you've already said because it brings it into such a new context that just
it's
strengthens the arc. Dude, like
so
this
well
movie's
done.
so this movie's like I don't even know what could be wrong about this movie.
Man, it is flying on all cylinders. I love it.
I know. There were like at least a couple of things that I know people were saying that they didn't like about it, which I think we do need to talk about because I think they're pretty very I think they're very reasonable arguments. One
Haven't
of
seen
them
anything yet, but
one of them was that the story is too predictable. You pretty much know what's gonna happen like when you
eh,
start the movie. I'm
mm,
like that's where I kind of argue with the fact that the destination doesn't really matter as long as the journey is great and it really is
yeah,
amazing because the whole
because
point of the star is that it wants you to not make that wish.
like I knew right off the bat when the wolf showed up, I was like, oh, this man's death.
Yeah, but
Like
yeah,
this
it's
this is
not
death.
something that they're trying to hide from the audience. It's more so something they're trying to hide from Puss himself.
And that's the cool thing is like there's a difference between a movie trying to hide things from the audience because they don't want you to figure it out, and a movie trusting that the audience, that even though the audience will figure it out, there's it still won't ruin it. Like
Right,
that's
right.
that's the thing. Like, and it's very genre specific. Like even in like some murder mysteries where like it doesn't really matter if you figure out who actually did it before. What matters really is if it makes sense that this was the guy that did it
Yeah.
before. And like if the movie still entertained you going forward, like even if you know who did it, it's still fun to watch the rest of the characters on screen and see how their journeys go forward and see how they go through things. And that is the good part. Like I knew that Puss would get a new lease on life from the beginning. I was like, okay, that's his arc. That's cool.
Right.
Now let's see how it goes. Let's see what they do to show me and get Puss to believe that. So let's see it. And
Yeah,
it
and
worked.
they do it so well, especially when especially in the Cave of Lost Souls when he's
Yeah.
talking to all his nine lives and like, oh well, you can just stay here and that's fine. And again, the movie does this a lot where they repeat or reiterate or repeat like lines already said, either to throw back at other characters that have originally said it or to bring into a new context. This is where they do that, where they said, "Oh, this is the legend. The legend always walks alone." And then after some time with Kitty and Perito, Puss realizes, "Wait a minute, I said this, but what does this actually mean? This means that the legend isn't big enough for other people in my life," and that's where he starts to realize, I should really get going and get my wish. Like, no, you gotta stay here. He's gonna keep living a life of fear, and then that's where death comes in. Like,
Well, and that's the interesting thing too, is like when he was talking to his lives, like in there where they're like, "Yo, come on, stay." He was like, "No. Like I got to get back. This has been great, fellas, but like I got to get back. Like Kitty and Perito, they're waiting for me, And he had already kind of like made that step,
pretty much, yeah.
and that's when death comes in, and that's really when that anxiety hit up and that fear that he was like, whoa, no, and it was partially because you got to see that support like get taken away too. Death starts
Yeah,
destroying the
yeah.
crystals with the lives, and like it's like a countdown, like it's literally a countdown reminding Puss, and that gets him back up in the fear. And I don't think in that scene, I don't remember, but the effect of his hair standing on end,
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
I don't think it activates in that scene. So it's like another step of, oh, he's moving past this, but he still hasn't quite hit that final resolution to be ready. He still has to go talk with Kitty
right.
and Perrito. Like, and that's the good stuff.
Yeah,
Like
and
that is
I,
stuff.
dude, everything about Puss's arc is just so perfect. Like it, like you pretty much know where it's going, but again, like the journey is still fantastic. Like you can slowly start to see through his like small bits of throwaway dialogue and other like things that he does that he's starting to grow like slightly until that final battle with death, where he realizes that I'm just gonna fight for this life alone and be valuable for it. And like it again, like I don't really care that if I already know what's going to happen, because I don't really think that the movie's trying to really hide it from me for me to figure out. I think that it's still, I think that it wants me to experience the journey along the way, you know?
Yeah. And that's like saying something is predictable. Okay. What where's the bad, where's the good? Like what makes it bad there? I don't understand. Like explain it a little bit. Try and run me through it. And that's like that's a criticism I don't really see. I've started to see more criticism for the movie come around now that it's not even criticism, it's just like a slug fight now, where some person put out a tweet that was like, it has to be said, and it puts Puss in Boots greater than Spider-Verse. And immediately when I saw the post, I just sighed because I was like, we're like, there's no longer going to be any discussion. Like, actually, it's just going to be a slugfest. Like,
Yeah, pretty much. I the one other criticism that I've seen is, which is really just one review that I read on Letterboxd, is that the weird thing that I've seen about this, that the movie's trying to be too deep, like it's forcing itself to be deep. I'm like, what does that mean?
yeah, honestly, like I think I did see that one
Yeah,
too.
like what
Where I was
what
like,
are you trying to tell me here? What do you mean trying to be too deep?
yeah, because I feel like a movie can go kind of as deep as you take it.
Pretty
It's just
much, like
whether or not it gives you enough to go into it.
exactly.
Like,
Like we are like, I feel like you did a very good job at establishing just the deeper aspects of this movie by establishing the nine lives and Puss being a legend to all, which was the entire point of the opening, where he sings a song about how he's great and he's a legend to all and he will never die, and he laughs at the face of death. And then he dies, and then establishes this is your last life. You need to retire, otherwise you're going to die. And then
mhm.
we see that doubt start to sink in, and then that's where you realize that this is where the emotional core of the movie is going. And I think it does a pretty good job at establishing it. So I don't understand why there are why I seen that review where it's like it's forcing itself to be too deep. Like, what are you trying to say? Forcing itself to be deep?
Like, if it was trying, I feel like if it was trying to force that, it would have like banged it over our head.
Pretty
That,
much.
like, okay, come on, like, do you get it now? Do you get it? Like, come on, there's like
Exactly. Like it
moment.
would have been like a lot of overdrawn talking scenes,
Yeah,
but
like
like it doesn't do that at
existential
all.
crisis talking stuff, but it's
Pretty
not. It's
much.
all naturally done. Like,
Yeah.
the only time Puss really talks about any of that is right after he has a panic attack, and Perito calms him down, and he talks about it with Perito, and it brings up another thing naturally. And so, but
Yeah.
they don't come back to it until it's natural for the story. And like,
Exactly.
forcing for that, I would say that forcing is like every single scene, the every single scene they input something about that,
Right.
of like say for example, it would be like trying to force in Spider-Man, it would be like trying to enforce like the sense of responsibility thing of like, I'm about responsibility, and it like every
Yeah.
single scene
Yeah.
Spider-Man talks about, it's like, well, why do you do this? Well, it's because I'm responsible. Or it's like I can't, like, it just
Right.
banging that message over and over the head, where when in reality you don't need to talk about it, you can just have him do it. And I think it's that kind of stuff where if you do it in dialogue, it becomes a lot more forced, where dialogue is a lot less natural than actions in those,
Yeah,
because
and
you just bring up something, and like we could be having a conversation, like say for right now, someone came in and was just like, yo, dude, you like down the street, there's something going on. It's like, well, what the hell? What are you talking about? Like some random event just out of nowhere. That's
exactly.
a natural and forced. But in this, everything happens naturally. There's a flow to it, and things aren't just brought up for no reason, unless it's trying to be a like subject change specifically, where they're like, okay, and like they talk about something else.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Uh,
And but it's like the thing that you can really tell that they're not forcing things is because it's not really like like you said earlier. Like Puss doesn't really talk about any of this stuff going on. Like you can just see through his mannerisms and his accents throughout this entire movie. Like for example, and I need to talk about this, otherwise my audience isn't gonna like me if I skip this. The
oh
panic
boy,
attack scene is by far the most real and surreal thing to ever happen in that movie. Like
yeah.
it is, like I didn't think they had the guts to do it, but it the whole scene is played out where Puss is running and you can like hear his heart bumping like immensely, and then when he goes to sit down and he can't like catch a breath, there was absolutely no music playing throughout the entire
Mhm.
scene until he calms down. And that lack of music does heighten how real it feels, because that's pretty much how like panic attacks normally go until you're able to calm down. You can't catch a breath. You are unable
And they
to
don't
breathe.
like,
Your sense of hearing is like kind of also
yeah, the
like
ringing.
altered. Yeah.
Like the thing with it too is they don't draw it out. It happens. They have Perrito come in, calm Puss down, and then they deal with it
Right,
and
right.
they move on. Like it's it's something that's in the back of everyone's head of like, oh, okay, but it's not something that they're going to talk about yet because no one's ready to talk about it.
Exactly. Do you like no sane person, no real person would be ready to talk about the fact that they know they're going to die at least, like, and death is practically just chasing them away. Like no one's going to be ready to talk about that until they're emotionally prepared for it, you know?
Yeah, and there are some characters that like in other pieces of media where they do talk about it and they're like, I'm eagerly awaiting, this, or like I'm going to my death, and it's like, okay, like let's do it. But you'll never get someone that's like fully ready to go in it and they're not using like they're not using humor or their way to go about it as like a shield for something deeper inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Like even if someone who approaches, like, I mean, the way Puss was doing it earlier in the movie, like anytime it's brought up, he deflects and is like, aha, no, I'm the legend, come on. And like it's a deflection when it's always brought up. and
Right.
and this time he doesn't have to do, and like that's what makes it hard. Like if they brought it up right there, he would have deflected about it even more, and then it wouldn't have helped anyone. And so because they just don't talk about it, it allows Puss to bring it to the surface more on his own terms.
Exactly. It's like every like the emotional core of this movie is so strong because it's not only so real, it's also because it just fits so well within the story that of Puss in Boots, the story that this universe is trying to tell using the subversion of fairy tale creatures. They're using, the big bad wolf as death, this fucking massive ass wolf as a personification of death, and they're using the idea of cats having 9 lives, this fairy tale like idea, to its advantage to tell this story about this living legend that we know from Shrek 2 that about him being on his last life and seeing how he handles it, and it fits not only with the story that they've already established with Puss in Boots, but it's also just extremely. It's also extremely relatable and moving when Puss actually does overcome that fear of death.
Yeah. And like what I also like about it too is that it's a sequel, but it is not like it is just a sequel. It's
Exactly.
not trying to set up anything like even with the ending where they go back to far, far away, that's not really a setup
Not
for
yeah.
anything. It's just I'm going back to see my friends. And like that's really good. And like the previous Puss in Boots movie, it still happened. They don't try and like because I know not everyone I know not everyone loved that one. I still like that one. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Um they bring back the highlight, which was Kitty Softpaws, who was great. I love her. She's so much fun.
Kitty's even better in this movie, honestly. Like
Yeah,
again, like they do a really good job at showing instead of telling by showing how she doesn't trust anybody and she starts to open up a little more, which is amazing.
dude. Every time she tried to like prove a point to Perrito, and he's just like,
He's like
"Oh,
wagging
okay."
his tail, like that's
It
cool.
it got he's the gold
He's an
standard.
innocent soul.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just having a good time. Like I always literally the always look on the bright side of life is
Pretty
like
much.
how I would describe his character.
Yeah, yeah, and
It's glorious.
dude, Perito is so wholesome when he has probably the most tragic anime backstory in
Dude,
existence.
it's the same thing with Super Pets again.
The same thing with
Where
Super
it's
Pets, but he's actually
like
just cheerful about it and
sad.
it doesn't even know it's sad.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's like, we're having a good time. We were playing, and they're just like, bro, they tried to kill you. He's like, nah,
It's like, yeah, but I
nah.
got free sweat out of it. Look at me.
Yeah, like,
I love him. Like that's how you do a cute character. You make everything, you
yeah.
make every little thing just as happy as it can be. Uh,
Oh man.
I want to save a
Oh,
lot of my thoughts for my overly long Puss in Boots
we'll
video.
we'll do that. We'll do
Yeah,
that.
we'll do
Is there
that.
any
So
anything else on the agenda today?
I don't think there really is, but what are overall your final thoughts on Puss in Boots? Like, if you were to give it a score, I don't care if you think that
Ugh.
score is overrated. What if you were to give it a score because it's in my channel? What score would you give it?
I would give it a 5 out of 5. That was I would give it a 5 out of 5. This is
No. So we are a 10 family here.
no, I don't like the 10 scale. I don't like. Okay, I'm gonna give you exact. We'll hit another quick tangent. I don't like the 10 scale for a very specific reason. I think it gives way too much wiggle room going through. And it makes people think that like there's too many lower end scores, and I think it's also because IGN has like screwed this over, where like a good anything that's like average isn't actually a 5. It's like a 6 or not even a 6. It's like a 7 or an 8, and then anything that is like above average is like a 9.
Look, okay,
And then
it's okay.
like the actual good
It's
stuff
okay.
is
I've
10.
already figured out a system for this. So
Yeah.
one
Well,
to
so like
1 to 4s are just 1 to 3 are like bad movies that I just won't watch again. Four and 5 are like, okay, this is like average. I don't really have any thoughts about this. Six is
I watched it once.
yeah, six
I
is
might
like
watch it again.
6 is like a pretty above average where it's like, it's good. I still have I mostly have I just have more positives to say than negatives, but it's at least a little bit. I at least have more thoughts to think about it. Sevens is like my norm, where it's like this is just a good movie. I would watch this a couple times.
Okay.
8s and 9s are where it's like this is great. I have a lot of thoughts about this that I would want to share and I would want to share and maybe make a couple more videos on it. 10s I've never
Okay.
given. I'm giving Puss in Boots a motherfucking 10.
Yeah.
10s are just my ideas of perfect movies where you need to show this to literally every single person. Show this to your grandmother. I don't care if she's in the grave. Show this to your grandmother's grave, and then just play it on the phone on the grave, and then she'll know. She'll at least know it's good.
Let's go. Yeah, it's the like all right. My 5 score that I get is like 0, absolutely nothing redeeming about this. This is just
Dude, I don't think you.
terrible
I
on all levels.
I am
You'll never get a
against.
0.
I am against like giving movies zeros.
Oh yeah, you'll never find I'll put it like my branching statement. I don't think you'll ever find anything that is a 0 out of 10
Like, unless you
or a 0
haven't
out of
watched
5.
it, zeros like don't exist.
Yeah. 1 for me, if I ever give it, because I don't like doing scores anymore. I used to, but I have grown past them because I don't like actually giving scores anymore. It's just um 1 is like there's maybe 2 or 3 good things I could say about it, but the rest of it just it doesn't function. It doesn't function on anything. It's like pretty bad across the
Right,
board.
right.
A 2, you get like below. It's like in that middle zone of like it does a lot of things good, but the negatives outweigh the positives.
Right.
A 3 is right in the middle where you hit. It's like, yeah, cool. I saw this. I wouldn't go out of my way to rewatch it, but I also, if it's on, I wouldn't like groan at it. I'd go, all right, cool. Like this is just, it's good. That's it.
Right.
They did a good job. 4 is where you hit more of the, oh, I'm going back to rewatch this. Like this does a lot of stuff really good. It may have a few like detractors, but it does all of this stuff like really, really good. And then you hit a 5, and it's like I have nothing bad to say about this at all.
Yeah, pretty
Like
much.
this just hit every single bell.
Yeah,
Like
I like I rewatched it fully expecting to think of what things I could think of bad. I couldn't. I honestly I tried. I really did try, but I honestly can't think of anything that's bad about it that I didn't like. It's a perfect movie in my opinion. It's definitely not as meaningful as it is with to me as as movies like Spiderverse is, but it's still definitely up there as the golden standard for anime movies because it takes such advantage of animation and much like Del Toro's Pinocchio, it proves that animation is more than just a genre.
yep.
Oh, but I want to watch this movie.
It was
again.
nice to end on happy notes.
I know
It was
we
nice.
talked a lot of
Good.
bad stuff, but I'm pretty sure like half of this was about Puss in Boots, so it's fine. We balanced it out.
Yeah.
But anyways, I hope you do guys enjoy listening to this. We always have a lot of fun with these, despite how annoyed we get. But I do hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you always get notified when future content releases. And as always, yo, thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
Always on a podcast. It's always fun having you.
It's always fun to be here.
I will
Even when
always-
we lose recordings,
even though we
it's
lose
still
some recordings and actually hit the streaming button, it's always a lot of fun. And I'm just gonna wait until we stop recording to force you to watch Velma by kidnapping you. Anyways,
No.
I will see you
I
all in the next
refuse.
one. Bye.
You'll never get me.